And here's a case where we kind of do ourselves harm. I'll give you a great example. I don't know how many of y'all have ever heard of or care about the XM Bank. XM Bank is America's export credit agency. Virtually every government in the world has one. And it is because we don't have a level playing field, and companies compete for exports because it's good for their economies. The Europeans and the Asians are much, much more aggressive than we are, but we have an export credit agency. And a lot of my conservative friends don't like it because they say it's corporate welfare. We're helping big companies. And there are like 3,800 companies last year got XM Bank credit or some benefit. And about 3,400 of those are relatively small businesses, and some are great big, like Boeing and General Electric and Caterpillar. But I would say to you, if we had a fair, open economy in the world, I'd say we don't need the XM Bank either. But when the United States has the highest corporate tax rate in the world, 35%, when everybody that competes with us has a territorial tax system, that is where we tax our companies after they've already paid taxes overseas, we make them pay that 35% again over here. Other countries don't do that. We have an administration that through its environmental policies is trying to run up the cost of energy, and electricity is one of the biggest costs of manufacturing. And you got these other countries that are out there pouring huge amounts of money, not only through export credits, but in many countries, the country owns the business. It is a government-owned business. Get rid of all those, and I'll be for getting rid of the Export-Import Bank. But I don't think we ought to fight with one arm tied behind our back. You know, we can either export our goods or we can export our jobs. And we need to be realistic about this. I just cite that as an example where there's a split among Republicans. If you let that become something that affects people's voting on election day, then that's the kind of way you could end up losing the House when we really ought to keep it. Senate's going to be the action this year. Republicans at 45, got to gain 6 to get the majority. And if we'd have been here in December, we would have said there's 7 good chances for Republicans. Alaska, Montana, South Dakota, Arkansas, Louisiana, North Carolina, West Virginia. 6 out of 7 carried by Romney, some by big margins, 3 of them open Democrat seats. Can we get 6 out of 7? That ain't easy. But the Republicans have expanded the playing field to Michigan, where Levin's retirement and a great Republican candidate, a dead heat. Iowa, a really good new candidate who has come forward and won our nomination. Colorado, Congressman Cory Gardner's in a dead heat with Senator Udall. Oregon, where our candidate is a female pediatric neurosurgeon. Something that could get a lot of work at Washington. You'd have to operate on adults. Scott Brown in New Hampshire. Scott Brown, the former senator from Massachusetts, a native of New Hampshire. Moved back to his home state. It's going to be a very close race. Ed Gillespie in Virginia. Mark Warner, who was floating around 60% of the vote before Gillespie got in, down to the mid-40s. So now, all of a sudden, instead of 7, we're talking about 13. 13 to win 6 is a lot better prospect than 7 to win 6. I think the Republican chances to win the Senate are slightly better than the Democrats' chances of keeping it. But again, not shooting fish in the barrel. I can't help to close by talking about governors, since I was one. 29 Republican governors, 22 Republican governor seats up this year, 20 incumbents running. That's not right. 24 Republican governorships up this year, 22 of them running. The Democrats have 12 seats up this year. Republicans' biggest risk are Pennsylvania, Maine, where Governor LePage was elected in a 3-way race, actually elected in a 5-way race. This time it's going to be a 3-way race. Finally, Florida, where Rick Scott has trailed for almost 3 years, but has now moved out of the lead. Best prospects, Illinois, Governor Quinn of Illinois, some job approvals, about 3 points below Saddam Hussein. And then finally, the last pretty good shot for, well, not the last, but Connecticut was a very good shot for us. Malloy and our candidate, Tom Foley, finished within 0.5% of each other last time, and we have a rerun. Got to be some other places where Republicans might catch on, Minnesota being one of them. But my time's up. I'm going to stop. I hope this gave you a little tour of the political climate and everything. I told Janet I'd take questions, but she may want to get to whatever y'all supposed to do next started. But if anybody's got a question, Janet says I can